Welcome back. So we actually wrote some data back into the QTP Excel, into our Microsoft Excel sheet. So there was no fail. So it wrote a pass into our result column of that sheet. But it did not write the test name because if we look here, we saw that we have written if there is any error, then if the error number is not equal to 0, then write call the function write to test name, right? But we did not repeat this code if there was no error. We only told QTP to write pass, right? So we did not tell QTP that if there is no error to write pass and to also write the test name. We did not do that. Right, so let's include that here. So now if there is no error, if there is an error, write the test name, fail, and the error description. Else, write the test name and pass result. All right. So if you need further clarification on VB scripting and if-then statements, then please watch the VB script and variables and also the function videos that we've produced that already talk about functions and all those, and also about handling errors before you watch these videos. Otherwise, you can get confused. So also watch the conditional statement and VB scripting videos before you write this error handling code. Okay? It will just help with understanding. So we've made that change, and we've added the test name. So even if it passes, it will still write the test name, right? So let's clear out the data. Just for our information, let's see if I delete the result, this pass result, and I save it, all right? Now let's run this test again. Now let's see if we get some results written back into our Excel sheet. So it navigates to the browser. Okay, so QTP actually stopped. You know why? Here we go. Because we already had another browser open. We had the same browser open with the same calculator.net. So we have two browsers open. So in this case, QTP will not work. This script will not work because we've written a script for this calculator.net. And if we have the same window, the same browser open, so we have two browsers, QTP won't understand or does not understand which browser to work on. Because the mortgage loan amount that we have for this browser, and then we have another one, and we have another mortgage loan amount, it gets confused. So it's just like saying, that David, if you have or know someone named David, and if you actually know two people named David, and then you have to specify which David you are referring to, right? So we have to keep the browsers closed in order to run this correctly so that QTP doesn't get confused. So let's run this again. Let's see if we get data back into the Excel sheet. So this time we didn't have any browsers open like we did previously. So it did write 300,000, 10 years, 5%. And it did click on calculate. It did close the browser. And as you can see, it's writing back the results. Let's go back to the sheet and verify if it wrote some results. So did it write results back into this Excel sheet? So if I open it and I look at the results sheet, so if we see if we have anything in here, so we actually do not see the test name. This test name has also disappeared for some reason. So let's try this again. Let's try to run this again and investigate the reason why it did not write into that Excel sheet. So we are writing into the row number 1, column number 1, right? And we are writing this information. So we're writing this value. Let's try to run this and one more time and see what happens. So it did enter those values. Now it closes the browser and it wrote those results into the Excel sheet. Let's check the Excel sheet. Let's see what's happened in the Excel sheet. So again, we had the same thing happen. So let's try to investigate that. So we told QTP to write into the row number 1, column number 1, but it was not writing anything, actually. So, okay, let's try. I think we made a mistake in here. So we're actually trying to write in column number 1 and the row number 2. So let's try that and see if that works. So the first one is the row number. According to our function, the first value that we are passing is the row number and then the column number, right? So let's say the row number 2 of column number 1, right? So let's do the same thing. Row number 2, column number 1 for the test name. Let's save it. And let's run this again and see if it works. So open the browser, enters the text, and clicks on calculate, captures the results, writing back the results, and let's open the Excel sheet. And oops, so we can see that there's still no message in there. So there's still an issue. So let's continue to investigate. So we're trying to write this environment variable. So there's something wrong with the environment variable. So first of all, it's not finding the environment variable. So test name got deleted. So I'm writing it back in. Let's clear all of the data. So we have test name, results, and error message. I have 3 columns, right? Now, before I even use this environment variable, let's try to print this environment variable. Print test underscore name. Okay? Let's just try to print that in here. Okay. Yeah. So I believe that that's because we're trying to use this environment variable. We're actually trying to use this variable inside this if statement. So just to make sure, let's put this outside. Let's put it outside of the conditional statement. So we're capturing the test name into a variable. Okay. And we're trying to use that variable. We're trying to use that environment variable within the script, within the if statement, to write back the results. So let's try and run this and see if it works. Opens the browser, enters the loan amount, loan term, and the interest rate. Should close the browser. I have a breakpoint in here. Let me click on run. And the script completes. Okay, let's check, open the Excel sheet, and yeah, here we go. So this time it works. This time it did write on row number 2 of column number 1, and it wrote the test name, and it wrote the environment variable data-driven 01. So I did not write data-driven 01 myself. I called the environment variable and the environment variable of the test name. So let's clear everything. Let's clear this and clear that also. Let's save it. And let's run this and see if we get the results back into the Excel again. So right now the Excel sheet rows and columns are empty, there's no data, so let's see if we get back those results. So I have a breakpoint, I click on run, and the execution has completed. Let's go back to the Excel sheet. Yep, and it did write the test name and pass result. So this is how you can handle the errors, is you can write back the results back into the Excel sheet. Okay? So at this point, let's try to get a quick fail. Let's try to get a fail. 1 second. Okay, let's try to get an error somewhere within the script. So let me make a change somewhere, which should not work. Let me misspell click. Let me put CLIC. Okay? So I do that and I run this time. I'm hoping to get an error within the script. So if we get an error, let's see if we get a different result back into the Excel sheet or not. So it opens a browser. In this case, it should not be able to click on the calculate button because we changed the name of the button. So it's showing us the run error, it's showing us the error. So let me stop this. Let me close this. And let me put this on error resume next statement so that if there is an error, the script will not stop, but it will write back the results. So let's run this. Open the browser. Entering text. And at this point, it will not be able to identify the web button, the calculate button, because I misspelled the button intentionally. And the execution completes, and let's check the result sheet. Yeah, so this time, as you can see, we have the test name, and we have the result this time is fail, and then we have the error message. So object does not support this property. So this is the fail. This is the mistake that we made. CLICKK. So it should just be 1K, right? Am I right? So click. This is the mistake that we made, and we have the results written back into the Excel. So in the next video, let's continue with our data-driven hybrid framework.